Hey friends, good to see you, Pac. Today we're looking at what happens when routine meets temptation and everything quietly explodes.
Some people chase love. Others accidentally chase restraining orders, divorce lawyers, or national headlines. 1. The teacher who fell for her student and the state prison system. In 2005, a middle school teacher named Mary Kay Letourneau decided that the best way to spice up her life wasn't yoga, but a full-blown felony. She had an affair with her 13-year-old student, got arrested, went to jail, got out, and then immediately got caught again with the same student. When reporters asked why she'd risked everything, she called it true love. The court called it second-degree child rape. The story gripped America like a bad soap opera that refused to end. Years later, she actually married the guy when he turned 21. Their wedding? Filmed by Entertainment Tonight. Proof that if your romance starts with a mugshot, the only ring you'll get is the one the bailiff gives you for evidence. 2. The president and the intern that changed politics forever. In the 1990s, the White House wasn't just the center of power. It was apparently the world's most awkward dating venue. Bill Clinton's affair with intern Monica Lewinsky didn't just make headlines, it rewrote the entire PR playbook for damage control. There were press conferences, denials, and one unforgettable line. "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." Spoiler, he did. The scandal launched careers, destroyed reputations, and gave late-night comedians enough material to last a decade. Lewinsky became a global punchline, then later a public speaker on shame and cyberbullying. Clinton survived impeachment and finished his term. The lesson? In politics, affairs don't end your career. They just make you a history question on every high school exam. 3. The astronaut love triangle that went orbital. In 2007, Lisa Nowak, a decorated NASA astronaut, decided she couldn't let go of her former lover, a fellow astronaut. So she did what any rational adult would do, drove 900 miles from Houston to Orlando in a diaper so she wouldn't have to stop for bathroom breaks to confront his new girlfriend in an airport parking lot. The plan? Kidnap her. The result? Felony charges and a mugshot in full NASA flight gear. The press went wild. "Love Gone Astray" was the headline. "Diaper Astronaut" was the meme. It was the first time in history someone brought the phrase mission control into a relationship argument. Literally. If your breakup involves fuel stops, pepper spray, and space-grade planning, it's not romance. It's a launch sequence for chaos. 4. The affair that sank a kingdom and launched 400 years of drama. Back in the 1500s, England's King Henry VIII decided that for better or worse didn't apply when he got bored. His wife, Catherine of Aragon, had been loyal, educated, and politically smart, but she couldn't give him a son. So Henry fell for Anne Boleyn, his wife's lady-in-waiting, and immediately hit the royal self-destruct button. The Pope said no to Henry's divorce request, so the king said, "Cool, I'll make my own church." And just like that, the Church of England was born, out of one man's midlife crisis. He married Anne. She had a daughter, Elizabeth I, and then he accused her of treason and had her beheaded. The man literally founded a religion just to dump his wife, then killed the next one, and we thought modern dating apps were ruthless. Henry went through 6 wives in total, each with a fate that read like a grim nursery rhyme. Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. The British monarchy's slogan might as well have been, "Love hurts, and sometimes it's legally binding." 5. The Preacher, the Pilot, and the Perfect Scandal. In the 1980s, America's favorite televangelist couple, Jim Bakker and Tammy Faye Bakker, built an empire of Christian television, theme parks, and luxury mansions, funded by donations from viewers who thought they were paying for salvation. But when it came out that Jim had a secret affair with church secretary Jessica Hahn, everything collapsed faster than a folding pulpit. He claimed it was consensual. She said otherwise. Then came the financial crimes: fraud, bribery, hush money, and possibly the most expensive forgiveness package in history. Jim ended up in prison, Tammy turned into a mascara-streaked icon of televangelist tragedy, and America learned an important lesson. If your pastor owns a private jet, maybe ask who's paying for the fuel. The scandal became national comedy gold, inspiring late-night jokes, documentaries, and an entire movie decades later. Jim eventually got out of prison and went right back to selling apocalypse survival gear on TV, because nothing says faith restored like a man peddling buckets of freeze-dried lasagna to prepare for the end times. 6. The general who let his heart and his career crash and burn. In 2012, General David Petraeus was one of the most respected military minds in America, a war hero turned CIA director. Then came the plot twist. He had an affair with his biographer, Paula Broadwell, who wasn't just writing about his life. She was living it. The problem? Their emails were uncovered during an FBI investigation into threatening messages she allegedly sent to another woman. That's right, his mistress had a jealous mistress problem. The result was a national security scandal where the head of the CIA couldn't even hide his own emails. Petraeus resigned, Broadwell disappeared from the spotlight, and the entire country learned that classified information apparently includes pillow talk. It was the perfect storm of ego, secrecy, and Gmail. The man once trusted with top-secret missions ended up in headlines for romantic espionage. Turns out even a 4-star general can lose the war against temptation and forget that Google keeps receipts. 7. The French emperor who conquered Europe, but not his marriage. Napoleon Bonaparte was great at invading countries, but absolutely terrible at managing relationships. His marriage to Josephine de Beauharnais began with passion, ended with paranoia, and in between was a masterclass in infidelity on both sides. While Napoleon was off winning battles, Josephine was allegedly entertaining officers at home. When he found out, he didn't divorce her, he out-cheated her. The two exchanged letters that were basically the 19th century version of drunk texts, emotional, desperate, and full of spelling errors. Napoleon's obsession with her nearly derailed his campaigns, yet he still dumped her when she couldn't give him an heir. He remarried for politics, not love, and ended up exiled on a rock in the middle of the ocean. Somewhere between the wars and the mistresses, the man who tried to rule Europe discovered the ultimate truth. Empire building is easier than commitment. 8. The president who brought scandal to the Oval Office, before Clinton did. Long before Bill and Monica, there was President Warren G. Harding, whose love life could have filled an entire season of a telenovela. While serving in the 1920s, Harding carried on an affair with a woman named Nan Britton, 30 years younger and absolutely fearless. Their meetings happened everywhere, including a White House coat closet. She later claimed he fathered her child and published a tell-all book called The President's Daughter that scandalized America. Harding died in office before the chaos hit full swing, but his letters were later found, overflowing with flowery language and cringeworthy pet names. Think Dear Darling of My Heart levels of romantic disaster. The affair permanently tainted his reputation, and historians now rate him as one of America's worst presidents. Apparently, running a country and running around are mutually exclusive skills. 9. The scandal that brought down a megachurch and a marriage. In 2017, Australian pastor Carl Lentz was the face of hip Christianity. Tattoos, skinny jeans, and celebrity friends like Justin Bieber. But beneath the designer denim was a secret life straight out of a Netflix drama. When news broke that Lentz had been having an affair with a woman he met in Brooklyn, it wasn't just gossip. It detonated the entire Hillsong empire. He preached purity, then got caught cheating. He preached forgiveness, then got fired. The woman described their romance as intoxicating chaos, which is also how you describe most megachurch scandals. Lentz publicly confessed, vanished for a while, and then re-emerged on a streaming documentary looking remorseful in high definition. The fallout exposed a world of fame, hypocrisy, and branding where religion met reality TV. It was less hallelujah and more, honey, we need to talk. 10. The royal scandal that split a monarchy in half. In the 1930s, Britain faced the most glamorous political crisis ever, a king who chose passion over protocol. King Edward VIII fell hopelessly in love with Wallis Simpson, a twice-divorced American woman. The British establishment went into full panic mode, because apparently, divorce was more scandalous than global economic collapse. Edward was given an ultimatum: choose the crown or the woman. He chose love, abdicating the throne with a line straight out of a movie script. I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility without the help of the woman I love. It was romantic, chaotic, and very British. He married Wallis, got exiled to the Bahamas, and spent the rest of his life attending parties instead of Parliament. The whole ordeal forced his brother to take the throne as King George VI, eventually making his daughter Queen Elizabeth II. So, yeah, the entire modern royal family exists because one guy couldn't keep his heart, or his title, in check. It's the most expensive love story ever told, complete with tiaras, tabloids, and a monarchy held together by polite scandal management. 11. The senator and the other woman who made history, and headlines. In 2009, Senator John Ensign of Nevada was the Republican golden boy, charming, family-oriented, and deeply religious. Then came the plot twist. He had an affair with his best friend's wife, who also happened to work for him. The situation became so tangled that it made a soap opera look like a church bulletin. When the affair went public, Ensign tried to do damage control by paying off the family. Unfortunately, hush money is a terrible look on campaign finance reports. The scandal spiraled into an ethics investigation that torpedoed his career and his reputation. The kicker? He'd once campaigned on family values. It's always the ones preaching the loudest who forget their own sermons. His resignation speech was short, somber, and the verbal equivalent of a "my bad." Ensign's fall from grace was a masterclass in hypocrisy, proving that in Washington, D.C., love triangles have more destructive power than budget cuts. 12. The billionaire, the supermodel, and the island of secrets. Every love story has its setting. This one had a private Caribbean island and a federal investigation. Financier Jeffrey Epstein turned his affairs into an empire of secrecy, money, and manipulation. His relationship with socialite Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't just romantic, it was criminally coordinated. Together they built a web of power and scandal that entangled billionaires, politicians, and royals. When it all unraveled, it exposed the dark side of luxury and influence. The love affair label barely applies. It was more of a collaboration in corruption, a partnership that weaponized charm. Maxwell called herself Epstein's protector. The world called her his accomplice. When the truth came out, their empire collapsed faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. It wasn't passion that destroyed them, it was arrogance. They thought money could hide everything, but justice eventually sent their fairy tale straight into a courtroom. 13. The Hollywood affair that became a legal circus. When actor Brad Pitt met Angelina Jolie on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 2004, sparks flew, both on and off the screen. The only problem? He was married to Jennifer Aniston at the time. The tabloids lost their collective minds. It wasn't just a love affair, it was the birth of Brangelina, the most paparazzi-fed relationship of the 2000s. They adopted children, traveled the world, and became Hollywood royalty, until it all imploded in 2016 with an airport argument, custody battles, and FBI investigations. Their breakup had more sequels than Mission Impossible. The media turned it into a moral referendum on love, fame, and flight schedules. What began as an affair between two movie stars ended as an endless PR war fought with legal filings and emotional interviews. Somewhere between happily ever after and irreconcilable differences, the world realized sometimes the script doesn't survive the director's cut. 14. The spy who loved, then betrayed. Her country Mata Hari wasn't just a woman. She was a walking scandal in high heels. In early 20th century Europe, this exotic dancer turned courtesan seduced generals, politicians, and spies from both sides of World War I. Her lovers showered her with gifts, information, and very questionable life choices. When the war turned, she was accused of being a double agent, trading secrets for affection and survival. The French government tried her for espionage, painting her as the ultimate femme fatale. The evidence was thin, but the legend was irresistible. In 1917, she was executed by firing squad, blowing a kiss to her captors before the shots rang out. Mata Hari's story blurred the line between love, lust, and loyalty. History remembers her as either a master spy or a hopeless romantic who fell for the wrong men in the wrong war. Either way, she died as she lived, dramatically, and wearing great shoes. 15. The pastor, the affair, and the sermon that backfired. In 1987, televangelist Jimmy Swaggart stood before millions of viewers, sobbing on live television as he confessed to moral failure. Translation? He'd been caught with a prostitute after years of preaching about purity. Swaggart's tearful, "I have sinned" speech became one of the most infamous moments in American religious history. The irony was cosmic. This was the same man who had publicly condemned his fellow evangelist Jim Bakker for the very same thing just months earlier. His church temporarily forgave him, until he got caught again with another sex worker 3 years later. By then, the public's sympathy had evaporated faster than holy water on hot pavement. Swaggart's downfall became a cultural cautionary tale about ego dressed as righteousness. His empire survived in smaller form, but the damage was biblical. Turns out, when your business model is sin bad, the worst possible marketing strategy is getting caught doing it. Twice. 16. The secret affair that made Air Force history. In the 1940s, while the U.S. Air Force was perfecting jet engines, one of its top generals was perfecting deception. Douglas MacArthur, yes, that MacArthur, wasn't just a war hero. He was also entangled in a scandal that could have grounded his career. During his command in the Philippines, he had a relationship with a young woman named Isabel Rosario Cooper, a nightclub singer half his age. He brought her to Washington, set her up in an apartment, and tried to keep the affair secret. But secrets have a way of flying faster than aircraft. When rumors reached military brass, MacArthur had her quietly sent away with hush money, proving that even generals have classified operations of the romantic kind. The press eventually caught wind, but his mythos as a war hero shielded him, barely. Cooper vanished from history, and MacArthur went on to deliver his famous "Old Soldiers Never Die" speech. Fitting words for a man whose love life nearly did him in. Turns out, not all battles involve guns. Some involve very expensive silence. 17. The singer who turned infidelity into a greatest hit. In the late 1960s, country legend Johnny Cash was the king of heartbreak songs, and heartbreak itself. His marriage to Vivian Liberto was crumbling under the weight of touring, pills, and fame when he fell for June Carter Cash, his fiery stage partner. Their chemistry on stage was electric and completely obvious. The tabloids called it scandal. Fans called it destiny. After years of turbulent affairs, divorces, and onstage proposals, the two finally married, cementing one of music's greatest love stories. But beneath the romance was chaos, addiction, fights, and redemption tours that doubled as therapy sessions. Their story inspired songs like "Ring of Fire," which June co-wrote about falling for a married man, him. When your love life becomes a Billboard chart, you know it's dramatic. Cash and Carter's affair didn't just change country music. It rewrote the soundtrack of Temptation. Proof that sometimes the best duets start with a confession. 18. The governor who couldn't find Argentina, or the truth. In 2009, South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford vanished. His staff claimed he was hiking the Appalachian Trail, a wholesome image, except he wasn't hiking. He was in Argentina with his mistress, Maria Belén Chapur. For 6 days, the state had no idea where its governor was. When he returned, disheveled and weepy, he delivered a press conference that sounded like Shakespeare performed at a county fair, full of tears, apologies, and geography lessons. "I have been unfaithful to my wife," he admitted, confirming that the Appalachian Trail was now America's new euphemism for adultery. His political career collapsed overnight, though he later made a bizarre comeback in Congress. The affair became textbook political comedy, a love story so badly managed it required a search party. Sanford lost his marriage, his credibility, and briefly, his map. Moral of the story? If you're going to cheat, maybe don't do it across hemispheres, or at least tell your staff you're bringing a compass. 19. The movie star who fell for a princess and lost everything. When actor Peter Townsend fell for Princess Margaret, younger sister of Queen Elizabeth II, it was the 1950s most forbidden love story. Townsend was handsome, divorced, and utterly smitten. Margaret adored him, but as a royal, she couldn't marry a divorced man without losing her title, income, and palace privileges. Britain's tabloid press turned their romance into daily front-page agony. For years, they fought royal pressure, parliamentary rules, and public scandal. Finally, Margaret made her heartbreaking announcement. She'd end the relationship in accordance with the church's teaching. Translation: love lost to paperwork. Townsend was reassigned abroad. Margaret married someone else and lived unhappily ever after. Their letters, later published, revealed decades of longing. It's the most British tragedy imaginable, two people sacrificing happiness to avoid upsetting the furniture of tradition. In a monarchy obsessed with decorum, Margaret proved that even princesses can't outrun red tape. Or heartbreak. 20. The athlete who scored big, then lost it. Tiger Woods wasn't just the world's greatest golfer, he was the world's greatest cautionary tale. In 2009, his picture-perfect image shattered when news of multiple affairs exploded across headlines. What started as a tabloid rumor became an avalanche of mistresses, voicemails, and late-night car crashes, literally. His wife, Elin Nordegren, chased him out of their home with a golf club, turning the sport's quietest man into the loudest scandal in sports. Sponsors dropped him faster than tee shots on a windy day, and his reputation went from legend to late-night punchline overnight. But in true American fashion, redemption followed disgrace. Woods entered therapy, rebuilt his game, and made one of the greatest comebacks in sports history, winning the Masters in 2019. It was the ultimate par redemption, from tabloid hell to Augusta heaven. His story proves one thing: no matter how far you fall, America loves a good second swing. 21. The actress, the baseball star, and the nuclear meltdown of love. In the 1950s, Marilyn Monroe was the world's most famous woman, and Joe DiMaggio was baseball's quiet hero. Their romance looked like a fairy tale written by Life magazine. But behind the glamour, it was chaos wrapped in champagne. Joe wanted a housewife. Marilyn wanted the world. Their fights were legendary, and their marriage lasted just 9 months, shorter than most houseplants. The breaking point came during the filming of The 7-Year Itch, when Marilyn's white dress blew up over a subway grate. The crowd cheered. Joe fumed. The photo became iconic. Their love didn't survive Hollywood, but Joe's devotion did. He sent roses to her grave every week for 20 years. It's the most bittersweet love story in American pop culture, proof that fame can get you everything but peace. And sometimes even heartbreak gets a Hollywood ending, just not the one anyone wanted. 22. The secret letters that exposed a president's passion. In the 2010s, historians uncovered letters between Warren G. Harding and his mistress, Carrie Phillips, written decades before email scandals existed. The man who once ran America was, apparently, also running a masterclass in terrible sexting, 1920s edition. His letters were so graphic that the Library of Congress kept them sealed for 50 years. When released, they revealed pet names like My Darling Girl and The Sweetest Girl in All the World, plus descriptions of romantic escapades that made historians blush harder than his policies. The affair began before Harding became president and continued during his campaign, meaning one of America's top leaders was penning Victorian fan fiction between political speeches. The discovery didn't just humanize Harding, it immortalized his terrible judgment. The public learned two things: history's heroes were often just as messy as we are, and the written word can ruin you faster than Twitter. 23. The pastor's wife, who fought back with a hammer. In 2006, a Tennessee pastor named Matthew Winkler was found dead in his home. The culprit? His wife, Mary Winkler, who claimed years of emotional and sexual abuse had pushed her past the breaking point. But here's where it gets even more shocking. She said the church community's obsession with image helped hide his darker side. When the affair rumors about him surfaced during the trial, the case transformed from tragedy to twisted morality play. Mary became both villain and victim in the public eye, sparking debates about hypocrisy and control in small-town religion. She served a short sentence and later rebuilt her life quietly, while the story became a cautionary tale whispered across pulpits nationwide. In the end, their perfect marriage unraveled spectacularly, reminding everyone that even behind stained glass, human chaos finds a way to break through. 24. The scandal that rocked the church and the country. In 1988, American televangelist Jim Bakker was already infamous for his affair and fraud. But another preacher decided he wanted his own front-page moment. Jimmy Swaggart's "I Have Sinned" speech was still echoing across TV when preacher Marvin Gorman was caught in a revenge scandal of biblical proportions. Swaggart had earlier exposed Gorman's affair, and Gorman got even. by hiring a private investigator to photograph Swaggart leaving a motel with a prostitute. When the pictures hit the press, Swaggart's career imploded overnight. The man who preached "Thou shalt not" had apparently skipped that chapter himself. Millions watched him cry on live television, begging forgiveness through tears and tissues. The fallout shredded the image of the entire televangelist movement, proving that divine charisma doesn't come with moral insulation. It wasn't just a scandal. It was a full-blown televangelical apocalypse, complete with hairspray, hypocrisy, and redemption tours that felt like stand-up comedy gone wrong. 25. The President, the Secretary, and the Secret That Wouldn't Die. In 1962, John F. Kennedy was America's golden boy, charismatic, young, and apparently incapable of monogamy. The most famous of his many alleged affairs was with actress Marilyn Monroe, who famously sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" in a breathy whisper that could have melted a flagpole. Their rumored relationship was short but explosive, involving midnight visits, phone calls, and the occasional FBI tale. Monroe's tragic death months later fueled decades of conspiracy theories. But the real scandal wasn't romance, it was risk. The President of the United States was allegedly sneaking around with one of the most famous women in the world, and half his staff knew. It was a national secret hiding in plain sight, whispered behind closed doors and shouted by tabloids. JFK's charm won him voters, but his personal life made him a legend, for all the wrong reasons. Even now, the phrase "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" echoes like a ghost of America's most glamorous mistake. 26. The rock star who fell for his stepdaughter. When director Woody Allen began dating actress Mia Farrow in the 1980s, it seemed like a match made in indie film heaven. They never married, but shared a family. And then Allen shattered that illusion by beginning an affair with Farrow's adopted daughter, Soon-Yi Previn. The world collectively gagged. When Mia discovered nude photos of Soon-Yi in Allen's apartment, she confronted him, and the scandal detonated like a Hollywood hand grenade. Allen claimed the relationship began when Soon-Yi was an adult, but the power dynamics and the family betrayal made the affair one of the most disturbing in pop culture history. They later married and insisted it was love, not scandal. Decades later, the controversy still follows them like a bad soundtrack. It wasn't just an affair, it was the cultural equivalent of hitting delete on an entire moral hard drive. 27. The pilot who flew too close to love. In 2012, American Airlines captain James Henderson, name changed for privacy, found his career nosediving faster than his plane ever had. Married, respected, and just months from retirement, he began a secret affair with a flight attendant half his age. Their relationship unfolded mid-air, literally. Notes hidden in cockpit manuals, champagne in first class, and layovers that doubled as love nests. It was a lifetime movie with a boarding pass. The secret held until turbulence hit in the form of leaked photos and jealous texts. His wife found out, corporate HR got involved, and his spotless 35-year record ended in suspension. Passengers later joked that his final descent wasn't professional, it was personal. He lost his wings, his marriage, and half his pension. The moral of the story? What happens in the sky doesn't always stay at cruising altitude. 28. The First Lady and the French Love Triangle. Back in the 18th century, Marie Antoinette wasn't just famous for her cake comment. She was also the subject of one of history's earliest tabloid frenzies. While married to King Louis XVI, rumors spread that she was having an affair with a dashing Swedish diplomat, Count Axel von Fersen. The two exchanged letters filled with coded language, flirtation, and suspicion. Historians still debate how far it went. But one thing's clear, the French court was obsessed. In a time when gossip could ignite revolutions, her reputation as the Austrian woman made her an easy target. Whether or not the affair was real, it became ammunition for those who wanted her gone. And we all know how that ended. So the next time someone tells you rumors don't kill, remind them of Marie Antoinette, whose love letters might have cost her more than her reputation. 29. The athlete who fell for a teammate's wife. In 2002, England's national soccer team was rocked by a scandal so messy it could have been scripted by a soap opera writer. Star player John Terry was accused of having an affair with the girlfriend of his teammate Wayne Bridge. The tabloids went nuclear. Fans booed Terry every time he touched the ball, while Bridge refused to shake his hand during matches, a snub broadcast worldwide. The press dubbed it the handshake that shook England. Sponsors panicked, Tabloids thrived, and locker rooms turned into war zones. The scandal blurred the line between sports and soap opera, reminding everyone that even million-dollar athletes can't out-dribble bad decisions. Bridge left the team, Terry lost the captaincy, and England still hasn't recovered from that emotional own goal. 30. The scandal that turned Camelot into a cautionary tale. Robert F. Kennedy was already haunted by his brother John's romantic reputation, but he had secrets of his own. Whispers of an affair between him and Marilyn Monroe surfaced after her death, claiming she had been involved with both Kennedys. The idea of America's royal family sharing a Hollywood starlet sent shockwaves through history. Whether true or not, the rumor became myth, cementing Monroe as the tragic symbol of love, power, and exploitation. Robert's own assassination in 1968 ended any chance of clarity, leaving behind a legacy of what-ifs. The public never stopped speculating. Was it politics, passion, or pure bad luck? Either way, Camelot's image cracked forever. The Kennedy name went from dreamlike perfection to Shakespearean tragedy, all because some secrets refused to stay buried, even decades later. 31. The country star who found love in a pickup and lost his fans. In 2015, country singer Blake Shelton shocked fans by divorcing Miranda Lambert after 4 years of marriage, and immediately starting a high-profile romance with Gwen Stefani, his co-star on The Voice. The press called it Nashville meets L.A., a cultural mashup so strange it practically deserved its own genre. Country fans accused him of moving on too fast. Tabloids called it karma for alleged cheating. Meanwhile, Shelton and Stefani turned their rebound into a brand: duets, talk shows, and matching denim. Lambert responded the only way she knew how, by writing chart-topping breakup songs that made the whole country cry into their whiskey. What began as a love triangle became a nationwide therapy session in verse. Turns out, heartbreak sells better than albums. In country music, pain isn't the price of fame. It's part of the marketing plan. 32. The affair that crashed the spy world. In 1963, British war hero John Profumo learned the hard way that sleeping with the wrong person can topple governments. His affair with model Christine Keeler wasn't just salacious, it was geopolitically disastrous. Keeler was also involved with a Soviet naval attaché, meaning Britain's Secretary of War was sharing pillow talk with someone possibly feeding intel to Moscow. When the press uncovered the affair, it detonated into one of the biggest political scandals in UK history. Profumo lied to Parliament, then resigned in disgrace. Prime Minister Harold Macmillan's government nearly collapsed, and the tabloids had a year-long feast. It was espionage, erotica, and embarrassment rolled into one Cold War soap opera. Profumo later spent decades doing charity work to rebuild his reputation, because apparently nothing says sorry for almost compromising national security like volunteering at soup kitchens. 33. The billionaire who couldn't buy discretion. When Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' private life went public in 2019, it wasn't through tabloids. It was through text messages. Bezos was caught in an affair with TV anchor Lauren Sanchez, and their sex were leaked in spectacular fashion. The richest man in the world became the star of the world's most expensive breakup. His wife, Mackenzie Scott, walked away with $38 billion, making her one of the richest women on Earth overnight. Bezos responded by accusing the National Enquirer of blackmail, turning the scandal into a cyber drama that mixed tech paranoia with midlife crisis energy. It was proof that no matter how advanced your encryption, nothing protects you from bad judgment. The moral? You can build rockets to space, but you still can't outsmart the human impulse to text things you shouldn't. 34. The senator who loved, lied, and lost it all. Gary Hart was the Democrats' golden boy in 1987, a smart, good-looking frontrunner for president. Then he dared the press to follow him around if they thought he was having an affair. Challenge accepted. Within days, reporters photographed him with model Donna Rice on a yacht literally named Monkey Business. The images went viral in the pre-internet sense, and Hart's campaign imploded overnight. It was the moment political journalism changed forever, when character became the headline. Hart quit the race. America got years of political cautionary tales, and Monkey Business became shorthand for political self-destruction. Decades later, he still insists the affair was blown out of proportion. Maybe so, but when your presidential hopes sink because of a yacht named like a bad punchline, the jokes practically write themselves. 35. The actress who fell for a president and paid the price. In the 1920s, silent film star Nan Britton shocked America by revealing her 6-year affair with President Warren G. Harding. Their secret meetings allegedly happened everywhere, including closets in the White House. When she published her memoir, The President's Daughter, in 1927, it was labeled obscene and banned in several states. But she wasn't lying. Decades later, DNA tests confirmed Harding was indeed the father. The revelation redefined the image of America's 1920s political elite, turning Harding from a folksy leader into a historical scandal headline. Britain's reputation was ruined, while Harding's became immortalized for all the wrong reasons. It was America's first modern political sex scandal, one so juicy it made the roaring 20s roar a little louder. 36. The singer, the husband, and the bodyguard the 1990s were wild enough, but nothing topped the love triangle between Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown, and, allegedly, her bodyguard Kevin Costner. Okay, Costner only played the protector in The Bodyguard, but rumors swirled that life imitated art on Houston's tours. The real chaos came from her marriage to Bobby, a toxic storm of passion, drugs, and public meltdowns. Their relationship was tabloid gold. Every fight, every arrest, every love song dissected on live TV. When Houston released the Bodyguard soundtrack, fans couldn't separate the fantasy from the fallout. The couple's reality show years later sealed their fate as the decade's most dysfunctional duo. It wasn't romance. It was mutually assured destruction, broadcast in surround sound. 37. The Queen's sister who made royal rebels cool. Long before Meghan Markle made headlines, Princess Margaret was the original royal rule breaker. Her love affair with Peter Townsend, a divorced commoner, scandalized 1950s Britain. The crown forbade her from marrying him unless she gave up her royal status. She hesitated, caved, and broke her own heart. Later, she married photographer Anthony Armstrong Jones, then fell into affairs, gossip, and glorious rebellion. Her escapades were tabloid candy, Caribbean flings, champagne mornings, and scandalous swimsuits. She was everything her sister, Queen Elizabeth II, wasn't: wild, emotional, and unapologetically human. Margaret turned royal scandal into high art, proving that sometimes the crown's biggest threat isn't politics, it's passion. 38. The news anchor who became the news. In 2016, Fox News anchor Joe Scarborough and co-host Mika Brzezinski were famous for their on-screen chemistry on Morning Joe. But off-screen, both were married to other people. Viewers noticed the flirty tension long before the press did. When their divorces went public, rumors confirmed what audiences had already suspected. The morning banter was a cover for a real-life romance. They later married, turning their professional partnership into a literal one. Critics called it a conflict of interest, but fans called it inevitable. The story was part newsroom drama, part rom-com, and entirely modern, proof that even journalists can't resist breaking their own headlines. 39. The rock star and the president's daughter. In the 1970s, rock legend Greg Allman married Cher, but that wasn't his wildest love story. Before Cher, Allman allegedly had a brief fling with Patti Davis, daughter of future President Ronald Reagan. The romance was short, scandalous, and exactly the kind of thing 1970s tabloids lived for: the rebellious rock god and the conservative political princess. It didn't last long, but it fueled decades of gossip about Hollywood, politics, and the strange gravitational pull between chaos and order. Reagan reportedly hated the idea, which probably made it even more appealing. In the end, Patti became an outspoken writer and activist. Because if your dad's a president and your ex is a rock star, you've already seen the full spectrum of authority issues. 40. The scandal that broke Hollywood's heart. In 1958, Hollywood golden couple Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher were America's sweethearts, until Fisher left Reynolds for her best friend, Elizabeth Taylor. Taylor's husband had just died, and Fisher comforted her a little too enthusiastically. The tabloids exploded, fans burned his records, and Taylor became both villain and victim of Hollywood's biggest betrayal. Reynolds, ever the class act, later forgave them, but the damage was cinematic. Fisher's career never recovered. Taylor moved on to 6 more marriages. The scandal proved that in Hollywood, love triangles aren't just plot devices. They're career killers. Years later, Reynolds joked that she and Taylor had finally buried the hatchet after she died. In Tinseltown, even forgiveness comes with a punchline. 41. The actress who fell for a mobster. In the 1950s, silver screen beauty Lana Turner was Hollywood royalty, until her love life turned into a noir film. She fell for mobster Johnny Stompanato, a bodyguard for gangster Mickey Cohen. Their relationship was a cocktail of luxury and violence. Stompanato was charming in public and abusive in private, and Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, witnessed one too many fights. One night in 1958, after Stompanato threatened her mother, Cheryl stabbed him to death in self-defense. The trial became front-page news, the ultimate real-life melodrama. Turner wept on the stand. Tabloids screamed Hollywood's tragic angel, and America was glued to the courtroom like it was a TV show. Cheryl was acquitted, but Turner's image as America's sweetheart was forever cracked. The scandal showed that even behind diamonds and limousines, some fairy tales end with blood on the carpet and a headline in Life magazine. 42. The tech mogul who mixed business with pleasure and trouble. Before he became the world's richest man, Elon Musk's romantic escapades were already the stuff of legend. His relationship with actress Amber Heard turned into a paparazzi-fueled storm after her messy divorce from Johnny Depp. Musk claimed they were on and off, but the public saw chaos on full display. Late-night visits, leaked texts, and accusations of jealousy. Heard allegedly kept Musk's name out of Depp's defamation case, but the timeline raised more eyebrows than a Tesla prototype launch. Critics called it Hollywood meets Silicon Valley madness, billion-dollar brains and soap opera hearts. Musk later admitted he fell hard and fast, confessing that love hurts more than any failed rocket. The internet, of course, turned the breakup into memes about emotional algorithms and malfunctioning hearts. The takeaway? Even geniuses can crash when they mistake chemistry for compatibility. 43. The royal who couldn't keep secrets, or lover's prince. Prince Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles might be the most famous slow-burn scandal in British history. While married to Princess Diana, Charles carried on with his longtime love, creating a royal triangle so awkward it became global entertainment. The public sided with Diana, especially after her heartbreaking interview. There were 3 of us in this marriage. When their secret phone tapes leaked in 1993, complete with Charles wishing he could be her tampon, the monarchy nearly imploded from collective embarrassment. Diana became a sainted icon. Charles and Camilla became the couple everyone loved to hate. Yet years later, they married, officially rebranding scandal as destiny. The affair that once threatened the crown somehow became royal PR gold. It's living proof that in Britain, time and strategic rebranding can forgive almost anything. 44. The comedian whose joke became a scandal. In the 2000s, talk show host David Letterman ruled late-night TV until 2009, when he opened his show with a confession. He'd been blackmailed over his affairs with female staffers. The revelation stunned audiences who'd tuned in expecting punchlines, not a morality play. Letterman exposed the plot himself on air, turning an extortion attempt into a masterclass in damage control. But behind the applause, the story was messy. Multiple relationships with employees, awkward workplace fallout, and a very public apology to his wife. The scandal didn't kill his career. It humanized him in the most uncomfortable way possible. Viewers realized that even comedy kings have tragic timing when it comes to love. The episode remains one of television's strangest pivots. 1 minute, a monologue. The next, national therapy. 45. The pastor and the pool boy. In 2020, evangelical leader Jerry Falwell Jr. made headlines not for sermons, but for scandal. The president of Liberty University, America's bastion of conservative values, was exposed in an affair involving his wife, Becky Falwell, and a young pool attendant named Giancarlo Granda. The twist? Granda claimed Falwell sometimes watched their encounters. When the story broke, it detonated like a moral meteor. Falwell denied involvement, blamed blackmail, then resigned in disgrace. It was hypocrisy on a grand scale. The man who preached purity running a university scandalous enough for HBO. The internet dubbed it poolside revelation, proving once again that nothing sinks faster than sanctimony. 46. The actress who married her father's best friend. In the early 1970s, Errol Flynn's teenage daughter Rory Flynn wasn't the one causing headlines. It was Mariel Hemingway's scandal decades later that took the cake. But rewind to Woody Allen again. His saga didn't stop with Soon-Yi Previn. The ripple effect of that marriage led to other Hollywood stars rethinking their mentorships. One particularly shocking echo came when Mia Goth began dating Shia LaBeouf, her father's former close collaborator, stirring déjà vu. Audiences collectively wondered if Hollywood had run out of family trees to respect. The affair-turned-marriage pattern became a grim joke. In Tinseltown, keeping it in the family isn't a saying. It's a warning label. 47. The country legend who couldn't hide his heart. In the 1960s, Johnny Cash wasn't the only one writing love songs about sin. His friend George Jones and his wife Tammy Wynette were Nashville royalty until their volatile marriage ended in heartbreak and whiskey. After their divorce, Jones confessed he'd had multiple affairs, but still called Tammy the love of his life. Their post-marriage collaborations turned their pain into platinum, with songs like Golden Ring that sounded suspiciously autobiographical. Country fans adored them for it. Critics called it emotional masochism with a melody. Tammy later admitted she never stopped loving him, even as she remarried. It's a love story soaked in bourbon and irony, proof that sometimes the only way to stay together is to sing about falling apart. 48. The dictator's wife who fell for the spotlight. In 1980s, Philippines, Imelda Marcos was famous for two things: shoes and scandal. Married to dictator Ferdinand Marcos, she lived like royalty, collecting jewels, art, and political enemies. But what truly shocked citizens was her rumored affair with Hollywood actor George Hamilton. Their connection blurred the lines between diplomacy and decadence. She allegedly showered him with gifts while her country sank into debt. When Ferdinand was ousted, reporters found over 3,000 pairs of shoes in her closet. But no shame. Imelda became a global symbol of vanity disguised as glamour, proof that affairs of state often involve more champagne than governance. Her story remains the ultimate blend of lust, luxury, and lunacy. Love makes fools of everyone, but only these people turned it into front-page chaos. Which affair wins the crown?
Like it fast, don't let it end hard. Hit subscribe, think ends.